Elon Musk has alerted the globe to the impending threat of enormous solar flares. We shall all perish if we can't figure out how to manage this problem. What harm might these solar flares cause, and how can we protect ourselves from this danger? Join us as we investigate whether this scary scenario has become a reality. Welcome back to another exciting video from Informative Scoop. Today's video is about Elon Musk. This terrifying event is now a reality. Before starting the video, please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. A massive Starlink satellite network with 40,000 satellites is planned to be launched with 50 million damage. In orbit right now are more than 3,000 satellites from SpaceX. In support of that objective, the Falcon 9 launched 49 satellites into low orbit on February 3rd, but it exploded a week later. A surge of solar radiation and energetic particles swept across our planet simultaneously as an explosion on the sun's surface. These solar flares, also known as solar coronals, mass ejects, or solar flares, reach the Earth and heat the atmosphere. As a result, little pockets of air 130 miles above the launch site of the Starlink satellites were thicker. Elon Musk described how a geomagnetic storm affected the satellites in a statement. Of the 49 Starlink satellites, 40 were obliterated, costing the lives of an estimated 50 million people. Because they are put into relatively low-altitude orbits and rely on their onboard engine, low-orbit spacecraft like Starlink satellites are particularly vulnerable to geomagnetic storms. Due to a 50% increase in air drag brought on by the geomagnetic storm, the satellites could not reach higher orbits to battle atmospheric drag. They could not overcome the drag, so they fell back to Earth. Due to the storm, 80% of the satellites could not reach their destination. The good news is that there was no possibility of collision with other satellites during the satellites' re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, despite the Starlink team's best attempts to put them in safe mode. Nothing fell to the ground to prevent atmospheric variables from producing another fall. This month's first launch of the Falcon 9 carried a fresh batch of satellites placed in a higher orbit. In addition to losing these satellites, SpaceX has had other losses. Damaged launch pad The Starship is an active project for SpaceX. The past several years have seen the creation of a new generation of spacecraft that will eventually ferry people to Mars from the Moon. It must first relinquish control of Earth's orbit before transferring people farther. The launch pad on SpaceX's launch pad is one of the major challenges. The static fire test on shop ships frequently encounters issues. The SpaceX rocket testing facilities were destroyed by a major explosion in July at around 4:20 p.m. in Boca Chica, Texas. The Super Heavy Rocket 7 or its launch pad platform unintentionally set off an explosive cloud. On November 11th, a flow test that helped create the incident got underway. When it was accidentally ignited, most or all of its 33 Raptor engines were in use. After the event, Booster 7 had to repair multiple Raptor engines that had been damaged. The event they raised and secured also caused damage to the launch tower's 2 mechanical chopstick arms. Before performing its maiden test of the Super Heavy, the booster Starship 24 carried out several cryogenic proving tests in addition to the fire static test. They shouldn't worry about anything besides the launch pad. It was mechanically demonstrated that the enormously large rocket could support a partially laden Starship. Therefore, there was almost no question about its strength. The pair of SpaceX orbital test flights are still in the planning stages. If something terrible occurs and both fail while Booster 7 achieves a 33-engine spin, the same models will be refurbished and returned to the launch pad for a relaunch. Ship 24 of the Prime milestone performed a 6-engine static. The staff should prepare many Starships for upcoming launches as the launch date approaches. While these barriers stand in the way of Musk and SpaceX, solar flares threaten everyone, not just Musk. Most significant solar flare incident. The Carrington event, a large solar storm, began at the beginning of September 1859, just before the solar maxima of 1860. Astronomers from around the world were riveted in August 1859 by the growth of sunspots on the sun's surface. Richard Carrington, an amateur astronomer from Red Hill, an English town close to London, was one of them. In September, Carrington was drawing the sunspot. According to the NASA space flight website, Carrington referred to the short flash of light that blinded him as a white light flash. The entire event lasted about 5 minutes. A coronal mass ejection, often known as a flare, is a large-scale release of magnetized plasma from the sun's upper atmosphere. Before unleashing its full force on Earth, the CME traveled more than 90 million miles between the sun and Earth in 17.6 hours. According to NASA spacecraft, it normally takes several days for CMEs to reach Earth. An exceptional geomagnetic storm hit Earth. The day after Carrington witnessed the beautiful flare, telegraph lines broke down, and a rural show usually only visible at polar latitudes could be observed in the tropics. One state had to redesign its electrical infrastructure for transatlantic lines after a major solar flare in 1972 disrupted long-distance phone service in many states. 6 million people in Canada lost energy for 9 hours due to a geomagnetic storm. Because of the 2003 solar storms, often known as the 2003 Halloween storms, aircraft had to be rerouted. Affected satellite systems are the source of power outages in Sweden. The current solar cycle is becoming more powerful as it approaches its apex. Scientists are warning that this one may be the most active since records began to be recorded in the early 1,700 seconds within the next year or two. To us, it suggests as follows. The Sun will see an increase in solar activity between 2023 and 2025, affecting satellites and the planet's technology. Disruptions in our communication networks will affect national systems, astronauts in space, and electric power grids. Strong electric currents will be produced by space weather and impending solar storms that will damage crucial infrastructure, causing costly power outages and significant maintenance and repair costs. Near the polar regions, high radiation fluxes in the form of energetic particles may be present. These particles can sink to low altitudes, which could frighten an airplane's flight crew. The only benefit of Cycle 25 from the passenger seat is the stunning auroral show's real view. Is there, however, a method we can use to control it? Elon Musk thinks there is a way to handle the circumstance in advance and prevent expensive events. Elon's proposal for a remedy is to start by investing in early detection. Scientists can utilize telescopes to spot solar flares and coronal mass ejections when studying solar activity from a distance. That would be less effective for the task at hand. Therefore, NASA is preparing a mission to advance our understanding of solar flares and the interaction between the thermosphere and the biosphere. The project will provide the first worldwide coordinated surveillance of the region that frequently experiences solar activity. Our understanding of solar activity will greatly increase due to this expedition, and our space weather models will benefit. The negative effects of the current solar cycle on our ground-based airbase and space-based assets will therefore be mitigated when it comes to an end when solar activity peaks. The Earth's insulating atmosphere and magnetic field prevent even the most powerful solar outbursts from significantly impacting people. The majority of the harmful effects are prevented in the sky before they reach us, even though it has the potential to damage satellites and interfere with our power systems. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.